A long time ago, saying the wrong thing could turn the whole group against you. One sound, one look, one sentence at the wrong moment. And suddenly, speaking was not just speaking anymore. It was a risk. Now, the same thing can happen in a normal conversation. People are laughing. Someone asks what you think. You have an answer. But before you say it, your body checks the room. Faces, tone, timing. Then the moment passes. From the outside, it looks like you had nothing to say. But that may not be true. Sometimes, silence is not a personality. Sometimes silence is something humans learned. People judge silence too quickly. They see someone standing at the edge of a conversation, saying less than everyone else, and they assume they understand the whole person. Shy, cold, awkward, hard to read, maybe even rude. Easy labels, lazy ones. Because from the outside, silence looks like nothing is happening. But inside, something may be moving very fast. A quiet person may be reading the room in ways no one else notices. Who interrupts? Who mocks? Who twists words? Who makes jokes that sound harmless until you become the target? Who listens to understand? And who only listens long enough to correct you? That is not emptiness. That is scanning. And this is where the thumbnail matters. The red X over speech is not just about refusing to talk. It is about the moment the brain starts treating speech like a doorway with a warning sign on it. Not safe, so the person says less. Not because they have no thoughts, because they have learned that thoughts can become evidence. Evidence someone can laugh at. Evidence someone can use. Evidence someone can misunderstand before you even finish the sentence. Most rooms reward the fastest voice. The person who answers quickly looks confident. The person who jumps in looks social. The person who laughs at the right second looks like they belong. The quiet person breaks that rhythm. And when someone breaks the rhythm, people rarely ask, what made speaking feel risky for them? They just call them quiet. But quiet is not always a personality trait. Sometimes it is what happens when the body learns to hit the brakes before the voice reaches the road. Silence is not always emptiness. Sometimes it is a pause the body learned to trust. And the deeper question is not why someone stays quiet now. The deeper question is this: what taught them that speaking could cost them something? The strange part is that this rule usually does not come from one big moment. Most people can point to a breakup, a betrayal, a humiliation. Silence is often different. Sometimes it is built from moments so small you barely remember them. You say something honest, and someone's face changes. Not much, just enough. You ask a question, and a few people glance at each other. Suddenly, you wish you had stayed quiet. You tell a story, and people laugh, but not where you expected. Nothing dramatic has to happen. That is what makes it so hard to see. One reaction teaches, then another, then another. A strange look, a quick correction, a joke at your expense, being interrupted before you finish, being ignored until someone else says the same thing. The lesson does not arrive as a speech. It arrives through repetition. And repetition is what the brain listens to. This is the simple idea behind behavioral conditioning. B.F. Skinner used it to explain how consequences shape future behavior. Not because people sit down and consciously decide who they are going to become, but because the brain quietly keeps score. What creates tension? What creates relief? What creates belonging? What creates risk? If speaking keeps leading to discomfort, the brain becomes less eager to do it again. If staying quiet makes the room feel calmer, silence starts to feel smarter, safer, more reliable. What gets punished gets hidden. What keeps you safe gets repeated. Years later, nobody sees that process. They only see the result. The person who pauses before answering. The person who rehearses a sentence 3 times before saying it. The person who starts with, This might be stupid, but the person who says, never mind, and means it. Because by then, the rule feels natural. It no longer feels learned. It feels like personality. But the strange part is that modern life keeps reinforcing it. In most rooms, the fastest voice wins. The quickest answer sounds the most confident. The loudest opinion sounds the most certain. Social media rewards speed. Group conversations reward timing. Workplaces reward people who can speak before they fully think. The careful person enters that game already behind. So a second rule starts forming. Speaking can feel risky, but waiting can feel risky too. Now there is pressure from both sides. Speak and risk judgment. Wait and risk disappearing. And that is where silence becomes a trap. Because it works. That is the problem. It protects you from the wrong reaction, but it can also convince the world that there was nothing inside you trying to come out. And after enough years, it can start convincing you too. Not every quiet person is quiet for the same reason. That is the mistake people make. They see silence and treat it like one thing: shyness, distance, awkwardness, coldness. But silence can come from very different places. The first is the punished speaker. This is the person who tried to speak honestly once, and the room changed. A laugh landed the wrong way. A parent grew colder. A teacher made the question feel stupid. A friend group went quiet. So later, when they have something to say, their body remembers the cost before the sentence is even finished. They are not empty. They are bracing. The second is the social scanner. This person is not absent. They may be noticing more than anyone else. Who interrupts? Who dominates? Who gets laughed at? Who gets approval? Which opinion makes the room feel heavier? From the outside, it looks distant. On the inside, it feels more like checking the weather before stepping outside. The third is the peacekeeper. This is the person who learned that silence keeps the room calm. They know which sentence starts the argument. They know which truth makes someone defensive. So they reduce friction by reducing expression. People call that easygoing. Sometimes it is just exhaustion with good manners. And all three can end up with the same problem. Silence stops feeling like a choice. It becomes a role. The careful one. The calm one. The one who doesn't mind. The one who never says enough to become inconvenient. But some rooms are dangerous for your voice. Some rooms are only unfamiliar. That distinction matters, because silence can be peace, but silence can also be protection wearing the face of peace. So when you stay quiet now, the point is not to blame the silence. Silence may have protected you. It may have kept arguments small. It may have kept your words from being twisted. It may have kept the room predictable. But protection has a cost. If your voice stays hidden long enough, people start guessing who you are. They think you agree when you are only avoiding friction. They think you are calm when you are actually swallowing the sentence. Peace feels chosen. Protection feels required. Privacy keeps something sacred. Fear makes you disappear before you even decide. Maybe you are not quiet because you had nothing to say. Maybe you learned silence in places where speaking came with a price. Now the work is simpler. Notice which rooms make your voice leave before you do. Write one word: voice or protection. This channel is for quiet people trying to understand why ordinary things feel heavy. And the next question is even quieter. Why do some people only feel safe after they leave the room?